Good morning, everyone. Ace of Trades here. It's Tuesday, February 17th. We're trading the ES 2000 tick chart with a 21 EMA. It's the black line here you see. The Bible says in Proverbs 13:20, "He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed." So the question is today, who are you walking with? Who's your company? What's the company you keep? Are they helping you or hindering you? All right, so overnight, I put my overnight high here. This is about 6:30 last night around when the market opened, and then I put the overnight low here. I mean, I guess you could put it. That's about 12:30 a.m. If you want, you can stick it there. Not much of a difference. This is 8 o'clock. I'll leave it there. And so we have this move down, kind of grinds lower. Uh, Big break of this move, and it just kind of several legs pushes down to a new low. And then we get one leg, two measured legs. Uh, if this had happened in during the open session of the market, I would be drawing something like this. And let's see. So if you look at it like that, it's kind of thin. I mean, you can clearly see two legs where you get big green bars pushing up. You probably have room there. You are going the wrong way. You remember break, new low, prices are going up. Um, these legs are pretty separated here. Um, Decent chance that you're going to get some pullback. At least your trend lines, you know, 1, 2, 3 points away. Um, One kind of nuanced thing I will note is when you're getting, especially like measured leg areas, and you get something like this. If I see something like that, that's not good enough for me. Especially I know the price is going the wrong way. This bar is very small compared to how big these bars are pushing up against it. When you get like an engulfing bar that's very, um, in this case, bearish, looking in the direction you might want to try to capture some points, that engulfs one that was iffy, usually that's pretty good to, um, there's a pretty good chance now you're going to get some movement downward because you tried here, pushed all the way back here and closed right back down here again. You're almost sure to get some movement, but be aware of where your STT or your short-term trend line is, that's going against you. But you get two legs up there, and then this breaks and starts pushing even higher. And at that point, once this starts pushing higher here, I might draw something like that and think maybe there's a bigger measured leg coming, especially since price may try to make it up to these highs here. And so we don't quite get a measured move, and then we start pushing back down. If we would get a second leg here coming back, this would be a good spot to look for a trade and maybe get something on the way down. But it doesn't. You just get one leg and pushes down again. So anytime that happens, your count for legs of correction resets. At least that's how I trade it. So if you get like another leg back here, I'll just count that as one leg again, because when you get this trend break new low, um, your this trend is played out though, because you are in this range and you have room down here. You might expect that price is still going to try to push down here. So you kind of have the range supporting that potentially prices will move down here, but um, you have to get something really, really good, in my opinion, once you get this break and a new low, because anything can happen in a range. Um, so I would just be sitting on my hands now, not doing anything and just watching. Maybe you get something like, you get a range that starts developing here. Prices can't make it through here, they can't make it through this level, and you get a clear range, and then maybe you can use that range to trade off the extremities of it. So, but right now, That's what I see so far. So I'm just going to pause it here and then we'll come back when something else develops. Quick update here. Okay, last time we left, we were in this area, and just you're in the middle of a range, unsure what's going to happen. Price ends up pushing down through the overnight lows, and then when I got this, I just kind of drew this here just for some perspective on what I need to be aware of. Um, Once we break out, remember we have to be aware of prices trying to fade back up in, so we need to be super careful about any pattern shorts that look good, um, because we want to, probably avoid those until price tells us what it's going to do with this overnight low. Um, so some people will take this as a trade. They'll see this as a first attempt. They'll see this second leg, second attempt. Very uh, dangerous to take that. That's not a trade I want to take. We can see we have an uptrend working here that fits pretty good. And even though we are expecting prices to fade, right? People would also might also look at this as prices trying to attempt a new low for this. So you could, on a bigger picture, potentially view this as a downtrend, but we can't short right now because, again, overnight range, expecting prices to try to fade that range. You could easily get ticked in here and price could keep pushing up, especially notice how strong this bar is as we pushed up into the range. We held a little bit here around the lows and pushed up real strong with the bar. And so, you could just, price could be reversing here and fading the range. So you could get trapped there. And there's not, I mean, if we were taking a trade, there is room here to the EMA and stuff, but this is not a trade I want to take. Um, Depending on what you went for, if somebody took this trade, maybe you got out with some profit, but it does indeed bounce here and stop you out. This leg goes up and makes a measured move, and now you're just getting crowded here against this trend line, we'll just call it potential trend line. So price does kind of break down, and there's a battle here at this overnight low level. In the way I view trading, we view uh, understand markets. You have bears trying to push this down, keep the momentum going, and you have bulls trying to fade this range, trying to hold the overnight lows and push the market higher. You end up getting this. This is not something I want to take because you can see that there is it's not a great area because your price is getting trapped between here and this level. So essentially, you're shorting. If you're shorting right there, you're shorting into the bottom of this range where prices keep bouncing here. So you could get bounced out of there and could keep going sideways. It looks like now the bears are trying to make this go down to a new low here. Um, so right now I'd just be sitting on my hands as we're pushing close enough to the lows. I'm not really looking for a short. What I would need to see is momentum continue going, maybe get some, nice pushing down here, and then you get a couple legs back to take a short. But once this trend makes a new low, then you have to be aware of prices attempting to reverse again off the played out trend. So just sitting here, uh, still waiting for some discernible structure that we can trade. All right, let's do a quick update here. So we did indeed try to push back up into this range. Now I have these two legs here. I'm not necessarily looking at like this making a second attempt here on a big picture's new low. I was more looking at this as, maybe if I get two legs up here and I get some sort of like a lower high with lots of room to the EMA, what I'd be doing there is just basically playing the measured move, getting exhausted at least temporarily, and then, looking for a couple quick points before we'd hit the EMA, but it really didn't give you anything very nice. You get this little pattern here that if you study your charts diligently, you'll see this sometimes, where a strong move will push up, then immediately beside it, you'll get a counter, you'll get an opposite colored bar, and then you'll get another bar that's the same color as this one, and then it'll poke its head out the top here and give you um, uh, like a signal um, to short here. Now, I didn't. So basically, what's happening here is prices after this push up went into a tiny little range here, which if you looked at a smaller time frame, you would see all this activity uh, would be a bunch. Let's say we went down to like a 500 tick chart or a 100 tick chart. All these bars that are 2,000 ticks would be a bunch of little bars side by side. And so what you have here is that you have a little breakout of this range with room back down to the bottom. The bar wasn't good enough for me. That's a little more advanced though. So just not when you get something like this. Basically, I'd be looking for a lower high with room to the EMA. It doesn't give it. It does look like it wants to try to push down again. So maybe I cannot treat this with this range in play from the overnight. I can't treat this traditionally like a downtrend that's going to make two huge legs and try to break to a new low because I have to be concerned about prices wanting to obey the range. Um, so it kind of you can see that kind of trying to play out now. You get one leg, two legs, and now this is pushing down. But sometimes you won't get that. Sometimes this will do something like this, and then you know price will head back up. So just have to be careful about that. So that's what I see so far. I'll come back again whenever there is something else. Maybe we'll push down, test this again, push up. Maybe this will end up, if this pushes out strongly and keeps running, maybe we look at something like this where we're going to have these two legs be the center of a corrective pattern before we get another big leg down like that. So we'll just have to watch and see what happens to the price. Turn my mic on there. Quick update here. All right, so we have indeed pushed out this. You can see this downtrend does indeed make two legs and make a new low. So got to be super careful about looking for shorts now because people may look at this trend in a vacuum and think I'm going to be trying to take a short for this for a new low. Perhaps that will happen, but this bigger trend has already made a new low. So we got to be concerned about price now trying to reverse. This is very congested here. I would not try to short that. May win, may not, but I wouldn't try. I wouldn't take it. Um, so we this has now made a new low for this bigger downtrend. So we just have to be careful about shorting right now. Maybe perhaps if we got two bigger attempts, because that just all looks like one leg to me. And I don't care how many arrows somebody sticks on this chart telling you to take that trade. I wouldn't take that trade. So now this one um, has it's made a new low in closing, but not uh, in actual price. Um, so I'm just sitting here waiting. Let's see if we try to fade again. What I'd be looking for to take a short is I'd just be looking for like price to reject here and keep pushing down. So um, that's where we're at right now. So you just have to be careful with um, the shorts since this bigger trend made a new low with this push down. But that's the update for now. Be back again with when something else happens. All right, time for an update here. We can see, just like I was talking about, have to be careful about shorting. Once you get this downtrend plays out, I mean, you do get a little bit pushed down, but kind of bottoms the same place, and then prices start to reverse here. I do have this as I do have one leg up, two legs up drawn. Um, Not looking for a short here on a lower high. It's too close to this trend line in EMA, and now that this is all played out and we have this overnight range, still basically we have to respect it. We have to think that prices want to try to go back up to the other side. So but the legs are they're not super clear because you have all this bouncing around here as we're progressing up to the second leg. So, I'd be looking for maybe more like two legs correction down to here to get on with the trend. We'll see, have to see what we get here, um, and go from there. Okay, everybody, quick update. Just because this trend line I have drawn, I've cut this through here, tighten this up quite a bit because if I flip over to 4,000 tick chart, you can see this thing is just this all looks like one move up to me. It's just taking a rocket ship off right here. So that's how I have it. So because I did that, you can see this area here is where I kind of cut this through, and you can see that this little break here is not affecting this move up, one bit. I put this line on here just in case. Remember how we talk about prices like to come back and test former areas of resistance and see if they can turn it into support. I put that on there just as a visual aid in case, as we're working up in this trend, prices would make a couple legs back, and that would give me even more confidence that an entry off of this level would be pretty good. But this is just, we're just going parabolic now up to, looks like it's just in a hurry to get to the other side up here. So let's, on the 2K, it's overshooting this. Let's see if we're still, now it's even starting to overshoot this, and then potentially, if this just keeps going, then we have to maybe consider that maybe our starting point for this channel is a little bit higher up. So we'll see. And of course, as we it's still, even I can't even draw it very good there without it cutting through. So we'll just keep an eye on it. With this going up so hard now into these levels, where the resistance kind of was from overnight. You got to be careful taking a long into that. Perhaps if you got two very clear, almost doesn't have to be measured, but two very clear legs back and a good entry, then maybe we'd look to get a retest of this move up into highs here, but doesn't look like that's going to happen right now. So that's just the update for right now, and come back again later. Another update here, guys. All right, so because of how this was not fitting too good, I went ahead and it seemed like when I pulled my structures off, I could more easily see this trend working up here. So I drew this trend line, and then we got one leg, two legs, but this is like in the middle of nowhere. It's a terrible bar. It's an inside bar inside all this. It does push up to a new high. You get a couple legs back. It bounces off the EMA again. Because this structure's already made a new high. Not really interested in this. Perhaps if you would get two very clean legs back and you're able to get in like off the low, then perhaps you could look for something there. But closing way too high, too much risk. And so what you ended up getting was one leg, two legs. So sometimes that'll happen. You'll get two legs up to the high, and then we didn't make it to the overnight high, but right into, it's high enough up here that we're definitely not looking for any longs. And so, just like we often talk about, when these trends play out, price tends to try to go the other way. This trend played out. We went in sideways a little bit here, and then we wanted to go the other way. So now what we're looking for here is looking for a short. This is a big push down now, probably what is that? 65, 45, over 20 points. So what I'd be looking for is I'd be looking for two clean legs of correction back up. Um, and because this is so, you're getting one super clear leg down here like this. Um, I'd be I'd be maybe even looking for a runner to take a measured move on for points, extra points. So we'll just have to see if something plays out here for us or not, or if this thing just rushes right back down like we rushed right back up with no opportunities. So just have to wait and see what the price action gives us. All right, another quick update here. There's just so much going on that I'm just finding myself updating often today. Um, so once I saw this fly, we got really, this made no effort to make a correction and push down. So once I saw this just fly back above the EMA like that, I started thinking maybe this structure here overall is being viewed as just the entire move up, and we can see it doesn't fit very good on the 2000 tick chart, but if we use the 4000 tick for some context, you can see that fits pretty well. There's not really any disruption in that structure. We could move this all the way up to this wick here, and we're pretty close to being in to that. So, maybe what we're trying to do here is maybe this whole move is now attempting to get to a new high. Um, you might also see it maybe do one leg, two legs down. This is the 200 EMA. I just kind of use this as a point of reference on a higher time frame. I don't necessarily use it for much of trading off of. Um, this looks like this is trying to hold this and push up to a new high. So, you might not get the second leg down. If you got two perfect legs down and a nice bar off this area, that might be an attempt to, you might be getting in on this second attempt to push up to a new high, which would give you an opportunity to get quite a few points on a runner there if that would indeed happen. Um, it's kind of difficult to say what this is going to do. I mean, nothing in trading is 100%, but you have this. The primary structure today is this range, this overnight range. So anything could really happen. This may just be exhausted and just start failing back down. This may create a second leg and push up. This may try to push up right here and create a new high. And then at that point, then maybe we look for the true reversal back into the range. So we'll just have to wait and see. But that's kind of what I noticed once. It's just something you learn with time when things don't exactly go how you're thinking, and this rushes down, then rushes right back up. Um, and this is, there's no huge, for the size of this structure moving up, there's no huge break for it to make a new high. There are areas here, it's kind of a smaller scale where it did that, but this whole move up didn't really attempt to retest in and of itself as a bigger structure. And that might not happen because we're in a range, but it's something I think that's definitely uh, a possibility. All right, we'll be back again later. Okay, let's do a little update here. When we left off, I think price had pushed back up here like this, and I was saying, maybe there's a couple things. Maybe this will push right up. Maybe we'll get a second leg back or something like that, and then it'll push up, or you know, there's different things that could be happening here. So this does push up. It corrects a little bit, pushes up again. I don't see anything in here I would be interested in taking because this has technically played out. This little thing here has this short-term trend working against it. Hold on, get that off there. So you'd have to be concerned about this. Goodness, this short-term trend here working against that entry there. Okay. And I'm sure that some people probably we're looking to like get on with this, like counting this as like a 1, 2 attempts to fail there. So we did, and then we got this higher low, and I'm sure people are, when you start getting this, you're in this area where you're not sure what's exactly going to happen. Is this going to start failing now off the range? If the rate is the range going to dominate, and this is going to start failing now, or is this larger channel that we looked at on the 4K chart, is that going to, make another attempt for new high? Um, you start getting inside all this price action, and you're just asking for trouble. This looks very enticing to people looking to go long, like, oh, we've got this move up and we've got two legs. Now there's a higher low. I mean, it's not really technically it's a higher low because it's off a double bottom, but it visually looks like a higher low. So people enter that and look, then they get trapped, almost stopped out, and probably on this bar they're probably regretting their decision and getting out, and then it pushes up again. It doesn't make a technical new high here, but you have two legs up into the high area. So at that point, now you're sitting on your hands. You're waiting to see, is price going to do something? You know, is it going to go? Are we going to reverse now again? Are we going to? You're just waiting for cleaner structures to develop. And if this had, let's see, just grab this guy here. If this had maybe done something like this, super clean, right? If you see how we got this leg up, and then if we just pushed up, right? If this had just continued up, boom, 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 green bars, parabolic fashion into this high, and then you get a lower high off it, you got lots of room to the EMA. That's a place I'd be looking for a short. It doesn't do that. It just kind of meanders around. You get this sort of thing here. I'm not crazy about it because you have, this here where prices are bouncing again. This is not a trend that you're getting a correction on. It's just two legs down. So, who knows? This might be turning into a range here, and you try to short that. Bar's not even that great, and it just bounces out against you in this range or whatever. By this time here now that we have this, then it's looking like, oh, we have this trend moving down here. Um, and so you do have this measured leg down, and you get this bar here. This is not, I don't like this here because there's clearly a structure working against you. Um, we have played out up here. Is this the second leg and now we're going to retest? Maybe, but I'd prefer to see it like right away, like boom, 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 like that, and clean like this, not this looks more like a downtrend to me than a second leg. Although you can see it does make up a second leg. It's not something I want to take a trade off of thinking we're gonna try to go higher again here. It turns out that that's what it looks like it's trying to do, but you don't know it's going to do that. You've got to trade the structures that you're given. And so, um, I'm not going to trade into what appears to be a downtrend forming, just thinking this is going to keep going higher. So that's where we're at now. It does indeed appear that off these two legs that this is trying now for this whole move up to make a new high. But it looks like the bears are pushing that down, not liking that idea. We'll see. We'll just have to see what happens here. Maybe some other structure develops that we can get a short off of. Um, but we'll just have to wait and see. So that's all I've seen so far over the past hour or so. But I'll be back again later. Okay, everybody, here we are. It's been about an hour and a half now since last update. It's almost 2 o'clock, and last time we left off, we were just blow this up just to make sure everybody can see. So, um, we had this uptrend I talked about. Um, I don't like this as a buy for a measured move because you're in this structure here, right? And then I think I said it looks like it might be on this try attempting to make a new high. And then it didn't. You ended up getting that. All right, that's not there at the time. Um, I still I don't like that. If this is, again, I talk about if then stuff. If this was in a vacuum, if you had made a new high, say, and then you got this structure working down, uh, this is a big bar. but it's very likely going to work for something. Not crazy about shorting into this swing here. You only have 2 points to that, so I avoided that. One reason. Second reason is, this may be. Let's grab it. This may be still trying to move to a new high, and so you never know when you're going to get when. So you have this trend. Yes, you have this trend against it. You've got basically conflicting context, and when you've got conflicting context, you just have to kind of sit and watch, because you don't know exactly what's going to happen. Is this downtrend going to play out? Is this bigger two legs going to try for a new high? And then you also have not only the bigger two legs maybe trying for a new high, but you also have this uptrend has made one attempt, and maybe you tick in here and you get this moves to the new high, and so you get trapped here on like a 7 point bar. You also potentially didn't set up real good, but you can see there's some support here. So you're shorting maybe into a support area, shorting into a swing. So I don't like that. So it does end up going down. And what ends up happening then is you have these two legs. Remember, the market's fractal, it's layered. These two legs looking for a new high. Then you have this whole move I measured, pasted it down. You get this, but because now this is failing um, to the upside, I don't really want to. What am I doing? I don't really want to buy this at the measured move because you know this is played out to a degree, and now you keep getting lower highs and lower lows. So sometimes you won't get these bounces at these swings. Sometimes the buying just dries up, and then you'll just start failing down miserably. So you could get trapped here. I wouldn't buy that. It doesn't go far. Bumps its head on the EMA and then goes down again. And it's at let's see. It's at this point when I get this that then I start. It doesn't fit real well off the bottom, but it's a point to note so you don't, if you're end up deciding to look for longs, that you don't trade into this slanted resistance area. If we would move it down here, it doesn't really fit well on the bottom. I even looked at it. I'm not going to do it right now for sake of time, but I looked at it on the 4K chart. It doesn't fit well there either. So just avoided it. Um, Barely pushes down, then we push up, and so I draw one leg, two legs, and I was thinking if we would find some sort of you know selling come in here and I get a lower high, I've got a lot of room to the EMA. There's no structure here I'm worried about from an uptrend standpoint. If I draw this, right? If I would draw that in real time, maybe something like that. I've got I've got a ton of room here. It ends up pushing up rather far. It never really gives you the lower high, and then it can't get back to the EMA and just starts bouncing higher now. So I'm thinking, and then we push out of the overnight highs, and you can see here how becomes an important level. Um, Price chugs around a little bit, testing it multiple times. There's nothing to trade here because it's just all sideways, and then pushes higher again. So now we have potentially something here that we have to look at as far as an uptrend. Um, Again, this hasn't been creating really nice structures, especially on this chart. Um, so we just have to wait and see. The other thing to keep in mind is also on a bigger perspective, this is a second leg up for this move. So we could be trying to hit this measured move overall, and that could primarily be what prices are trying to do is achieve this measured move. And you sometimes see when prices, they'll in a weak manner get to the measured move, and then once they achieve the goal, they'll sell off, or you'll at least get some sort of correction. But it looks like maybe we have some sort of spike up here, and now it's creating maybe a secondary channel like this. So that probably looks like about the best thing. I mean, this ends up being an anchor point here. So, I mean, if this ends up holding and you would get some clean action, which we haven't gotten a lot of clean action today. Um, if this would push up here, it's already not making it back to the high of this channel that we've kind of drawn. Um, then maybe you'd look for two legs back, but it looks like it's already failing out. So this could just be, you always have to be aware of when prices break out of the range that they're going to attempt to fade, and they did attempt here, but not very strongly. So again, you just have to kind of watch the price action, see what happens. Maybe this structure ends up being not valid at all, and price just starts to dump back here into the range. Maybe it bounces at the EMA and keeps going higher, and then you have to try to find something else. You just have to follow the price action and see what it affords you. All right. See you in a little bit. All right. So last time we were in this area, and we were looking at how prices tried to held the overnight high here, kept pushing up, and then what happened is we kind of went into this range here. So we can clearly have, we've got a couple points we can anchor off the top. Look at all this support here, how candles can't close below this level, clear level of support there. And so we get two measured legs up here breaking out of the range. This is why uh, I fade breakouts of ranges. I don't buy breakouts of ranges. I, I fade breakouts of ranges because um, that's usually what happens is when you break out of a structure, the tendency is to try to come back to the structure. Just like when I've shown on other videos about when you break, like um, here for example, when this trend breaks, think of this as like a slanted range. When the trend breaks, it tries to push back up. Not never doesn't um, make it back into this area, but look how it pushes back up to make a new extreme. So just like that, even here, break out of this little support zone and pushes back up. It doesn't immediately continue lower. So whenever we get breakouts of ranges, we have to be concerned that prices will try to fade those ranges. So I was looking for a better, we got two legs up here. I was looking for a better bar. I don't want to short right into the highs of the range because you never know when the top of resistance will turn into support, and so this could bounce on you and go higher. In fact, it hits the EMA and does in fact make a new high. Um, so you're not guaranteed that it's going to even test the EMA. It may just bounce here at the high. So I was looking for something up in this area. Maybe you get a bar like that to enter on. It's at the extreme of the move and doesn't close like way down here, or something like this is at the extreme of the move. Now I didn't take something like this because when we faded out of the overnight range, the uh, I'm expecting it faded. When we broke out of the overnight range, I'm expecting attempts to fade the range. So I don't want to buy here when I'm actually expecting prices may try to push down into the range. So that seems to be what we're getting now. Um, really was hoping maybe I'd also get a lower high here back into the range. Didn't ever materialize. And now it looks like price is it's broken out this side of the range. Um, so we'll see what happens. You have this range here the price may try to fade up into, but remember also our larger context is that we're still broken out of this range, and price may be exhausted trying to get out here. And this little range here may also be what some people would term distribution, where people, larger larger, let's just say larger firms, whoever the market makers are taking profits slowly, and so you get this like what they call distribution. It's basically like sideways stuff before price starts to reverse the other direction. But that's what I'm looking for now. I'm just waiting to see if we start fading back in here. I don't want to buy this as a higher low to fade the range because you have a down move here that may retest itself, and also the larger range
may pull prices back into it. So we don't want to buy that as a higher low or anything. We just got to watch prices again. Just got an unfavorable printing there of a bar. Sometimes when I reload these charts, you'll get something nicer there, and that's just what happens. So a lot of price movement today. Just not printing a lot of clean setups for us that we are interested in taking. So just got one more hour, and I'll probably just be back for the close, unless I would get a trade or something that I want to demonstrate. All right, this is our final commentary for the day. Um, we left off, we were right around in this area, and it would have looked like this. And what I was saying is we're expecting now that everything is pushed out, played out here. The expectation would be that prices are going to try to fade this range. So I said I'm not even interested in that micro higher low back into this range because the bigger ranges we're concerned about now. Um, so, and we indeed did push down. I drew this channel here. It seemed to fit, pretty decently for all the movement we were getting back and forth. And so, you'd either look for two legs of correction within the channel that gives you a good setup, the signal bar, which would be, your bar on your highest point of the correction. Um, like this would be, you're not going to take this trade, but this would be a signal bar if prices broke below there because that's the last bar on this move up potentially. But you're not looking to trade there. So looking for bigger legs. So looking for maybe price to push down here and make a second leg. So we got this. It never actually makes a new high for this move up. And then we just dump and get this like 8 point bar, which is not that's not what we're looking for. And I don't want to take this lower high here. Prices already moved so far down. What I'm looking for is I'd be looking for, just like I was talking about up here, looking for something that maybe makes a higher high here. This would have been like that. I'd have had that, but at least looking for something to kind of retest this high before this trend then wants to find a new low. So, um, sometimes things don't work out, but that's what I'm looking for to give me confidence that prices are indeed done correcting. I look for, this to make a new high and give me a good signal bar. Something like that at the end of the move would be ideal. You don't get that, and we do indeed after, like I always teach on here, trends break and make a new low, and then what happens after they make a new low is then they attempted to reverse, got back up into this area and pushed back down, and maybe on a bigger picture, you might see it try to do, uh, a second leg up, but I mean, market's closed now. Um, but once it played out here, it attempted to reverse like prices very often do. So, I was looking for, I had this measured as a leg, and then I had it copied down here and was hoping if I got an entry, I could enter, take my main position off for my normal target, and then target a runner for, maybe a second leg down, but it doesn't appear that it didn't give us anything anyway. So, that's pretty much it for the day. I'm not going to go over this video is already long because I had a lot of commentary early on in the morning. Um, but that's it for today, and I will be back again tomorrow.